Welcome to the AI Executive Brief. I'm Stephen Forte. Here is something I've noticed. Almost every AI conversation I walk into right now, boardrooms, vendor pitches, inbox at 6 in the morning, is a conversation about cost. Take friction out of accounting, automate procurement, thin out G&A. That is the defensive frame, and it is the frame most executives are being sold. Today we flip the lens. Today we talk about the front of the business, the funnel, sales, growth, using AI as leverage to get bigger, not as a scalpel to get leaner. The CEOs actually compounding right now are not running AI through the CFO's org. They are running it through the CROs. One story, one stack, one sequence you could hand to your head of sales on Monday. Jason Lemkin at SaaStr just published the most detailed CEO-authored AI sales deployment on the public record, an 8-month post-mortem of rebuilding go-to-market as a digital workforce. Numbers attached, stack named. I am going to walk you through what he built, layer by layer. Here's the problem. Every CEO I talk to is being pitched AI as a cost-saving story. Replace the BDR, replace the support rep, replace the junior analyst. That is the wrong pitch because it anchors the conversation on your existing org chart instead of on the size of the market you could be addressing. The winners are using AI as a growth lever, more pipeline per seller, more segments in parallel, more revenue per unit of brand surface area. Lemkin is the public proof. Here are the 4 numbers I want you to hold in your head for the rest of this episode. 8 to 9 humans down to 1.2 humans with more than 20 AI agents alongside them. Pipeline sourced first touch by those agents, 4.8 million closed one from the same source, $2.4 million. Total monthly cost of the entire connected software stack, somewhere between $2,000 and $5,000 a month. Hold those 4 numbers. Everything else is architecture. Now, my read, because the top line is not the interesting part. The inbound agent at the front of this system is not saving the cost of a BDR. It is expanding the number of qualified conversations SaaStr can have in parallel. The defensive frame asks how many BDRs we can let go. The offensive frame asks how many more buyers we can talk to at once. And those 20 plus agents are not a chatbot. They are a workforce. Each one has a job description, a system of record, and an owner. If you are still thinking about AI as a feature inside your existing tools, you are already behind the CEOs thinking about it as headcount. You might think SaaStr is a one-off. It is not. Pump, a cloud cost optimization company, scaled from $1 million to $25 million in recurring revenue. And what used to take 3 months to ramp a new rep now takes about 2 weeks. A-Ling, a cybersecurity compliance firm, replaced a manual research function with an automated intelligence layer and generated $5.7 million in pipeline. 3 companies, 3 verticals, same structural move. So here's the thesis for today. AI is not the headcount line. AI is the growth line. Now let me walk you through the stack. Think of it as 7 layers. The top 3 handle inbound, the buyers who come to you. The middle 2 handle outbound, the buyers you go get. The bottom 2 are the strategy brain and the content factory, top to bottom. Resist the urge to write down vendor names, and the names are substitutable. The architecture is not. Start at the top. The spine of the whole system is a CRM. In SaaStr's case, it is Salesforce, the system of record you already know, and running on top of it something called Agentforce. Agentforce is Salesforce's AI agent layer. It sits inside the CRM and can take actions directly on records, update a deal, send a follow-up, route a lead. The spine is not about the vendor. It is about having a machine-readable source of truth for what a qualified buyer looks like. If your CRM is a graveyard of half-filled fields, no agent you plug into it is going to save you. That is the foundation. Now the front door. The next layer down is where it gets interesting. Inbound conversations, the moment a buyer lands on your website and wants to talk, are handled by a tool called Qualified, which runs an AI sales agent named Piper. Think of Piper as a front desk rep who never sleeps. She greets the visitor, qualifies the intent, books the meeting, hands it to a human only when it is actually ready. That is the fastest money in the whole stack because the intent is already proven by the visit. A digital employee owns the first touch 24 hours a day. That's the top of the funnel handled. Move down 1 layer. Now the stack needs to know who these people actually are. That job belongs to a data enrichment platform called Clay. You give Clay a list of companies or people, and it goes out across dozens of sources: LinkedIn, firmographics, intent signals, public filings, and fills in everything you do not know about them. It waterfalls all of that into a single profile the rest of the stack can act on. What matters here is not the vendor. It is that enrichment has stopped being a person and has become a system. Once it is a system, you can run 100 segments at once instead of 5. 3 layers down, we've handled the inbound side of the house. Now outbound. Outbound at SaaStr runs on a tool called Artisan. Think of it as an autonomous SDR that writes and sends prospecting emails at scale using the enriched profiles from the layer above. Artisan is the hard part of the stack because outbound is where the machine-readable operating model gets tested. You cannot point an agent at a random list and expect magic. You have to have written down formally who you sell to, what triggers a conversation, what a good fit signal looks like. SaaStr runs roughly 100 distinct segments across 1,000 target contacts. That is not a list. That is a sales model written in a language a machine can read. 4 layers in, everything we have talked about needs to talk to everything else. That plumbing, CRM to enrichment tool to inbound bot to outbound platform to Slack is handled by Zapier. Zapier is the workflow glue: form fill here, record written there, rep notified on Slack. This is the layer nobody talks about on stage, and it is the one where most deployments quietly die. Pick any orchestrator you like, just pick one. 2 layers left. This next one is where Lemkin did something that matters. On top of the off-the-shelf pieces, SaaStr built a custom strategy layer, Anthropic's Claude model, the Opus version, accessed through a developer tool called Replit. In practice, it runs as what Lemkin calls his AI VP of marketing. It chews on yesterday's data overnight and writes the morning strategy brief: which segments to press, which messages to kill, where to move budget. That is the 10% he built rather than bought, and the ratio is about right. Buy 90% off the shelf. Build the 10% that encodes how your company specifically goes to market. That 10% is the moat. And the last layer: when an agent books a meeting, someone still has to send the deck. That is where Gamma comes in. You can AI presentation tool to modern PowerPoint, except it drafts the deck for you from a brief. Agents request collateral. Gamma produces it. The deck goes out the door. The content layer is the part CEOs underfund. If the agent books the meeting but cannot send a decent one-pager after, you just wasted the meeting. 7 layers. A few $1,000s a month for the whole connected stack. The sticker price is the cheapest line item in the plan. Here is the assembly sequence, and this is where most CEOs get it wrong. Start with inbound only. Stand up the website agent on your highest intent pages. Give it a script, a calendar, let it book meetings. If you have inbound traffic right now and no agent running on it, you are leaving the quarter's easiest million on the floor. Then add enrichment and orchestration. Start hyper-segmenting. 100 specific segments, not one generic list. Generic campaigns produce generic results, and generic results are what the defensive frame mistakes for AI not working. Then outbound. This is the grind. Message tuning, list tuning, signal tuning, week after week. By the time it is dialed in, you are addressing segments you could not have addressed at all with a human-only team. Now, the honest part: the software is cheap, the oversight is not. The stack requires a senior go-to-market operator, VP of sales, head of growth, the most experienced revenue person you have, watching it every week. Not managing people, managing a system. That operator is not a cost. She is a conductor. The CEOs who win with this stack learn to read agent output the way they used to read a P&L. The segment underperforming, the message converting, the signal drifting. That is the new operator skill, and almost nobody on your current org chart has it yet. And this is where the structural point lands. Going from 8 humans to 1.2 is not a layoff. It is a redesign. 1 senior conductor plus 20 specialized agents beats 8 generalist reps. Not because agents are cheaper, but because the shape of the team is different. The CEOs who treat this as a finance exercise will execute it badly. The CEOs who treat it as a design exercise, and what is the new org chart for go-to-market in 2026, will get Lemkin's numbers. So here is the mirror. If you have inbound traffic right now and no agent running on it, the defensive frame is costing you the easiest million on the board this quarter. The The software costs a few $100s a seat. The real question is not whether you can afford the stack. The real question is whether you see AI as a way to make your company smaller or a way to make your company bigger. The CEOs getting Lemkin's numbers have already answered that question. That is the AI Executive Brief for Friday, April 24th. I am Stephen Forte. If this was useful, share it with someone who needs to hear it. I will be back Monday with more. Until then, stay sharp.